Hello, everyone. I wanted to take a minute or two to talk about currency exchange rates and why they matter when you start thinking about expat life. In a previous video, I had mentioned and talked about some of the regrets and some of the things that we didn't think about or that we should have thought about before we left the US. But lately, a couple of my friends, or acquaintances, I should say, have moved back or are moving back, not just because of the pandemic, but because they did not count on the currency exchange rates being so bad for them. They were both from the United Kingdom. So when they moved here, the exchange rate was very favorable. £1 was equal to approximately 1.60 of euro. So basically, think about it this way: for £1,000, you could enjoy 1,600 euros worth of life here. And that was fantastic because your money stretched a lot further. And that's the way currency exchange rates work. But now, if you look at the latest currency exchange rates, you see that the pound is just barely stronger than the euro. And who knows what's going to happen with Brexit. Right now, it's about £1 to €1 and like 11 cents. And it fluctuates every so often, every day or two. But the fact of the matter is you don't get as much as you used to. So just imagine this people came from the UK. They had a nice house, paying decent rent. They were living the good life. They had a pool, they had, a garden and all that stuff. But now, because the exchange rates have gone down so much, they now can no longer afford all the extra bits that they really enjoyed. And so they were in a position of having to look for employment and look for cleaning jobs themselves. So it's been devastating for a lot of people. And it's not like it happened overnight. It was a slowly decreasing thing. So my point is, when you think about living for your expat life, no matter where it is, you want to take into account the cost of living and the currency exchange rates. One of the reasons that most people flock to Thailand, for instance, or used to, but they've changed their rules, so it might be a little harder to get in there. But one of the reasons why Thailand was so popular, Brazil, all of those places, is because the exchange rates were very favorable if you were coming from America or someplace like that, where the currency was much stronger than where you were going to. So taking advantage of that, you could have a better life where you were going to than where you came from. But what happens when the currency exchange now goes the other way? And there's a coup or there's something else that disrupts the flow of things, and your money doesn't go as far as it used to. It's important for you to calculate a little bit of cushion into your finances. So, no matter what it is that's required, at that point to get a visa, a long stay visa, you might want to add a little bit or save a little bit more just to account for the fluctuation that might happen. So my friends or acquaintances, whatever you want to call them, moved back home because they had a safety net there. And so it would be much easier for them to survive as opposed to being here where they didn't bother assimilating as much as they should. So it didn't work out for them. And that's why I got thinking, I thought I should mention this because I didn't mention it in a prior video. Now, there are other things that happen too. Like one of my older sisters, she was working in Nigeria, but she was working for an American firm and she was being paid in US dollars. So of course you can imagine her, because it's $1 was like 230 or 245 of our naira there. So you could have a great life if you were being paid in dollars. But unfortunately, what happened was the company that she was working for, even though they remained there, they started charging um, the rent that she was paying inside of their compound in dollars, and they changed the payment terms to Nigerian currency. So basically, she took a humongous pay in a humongous pay cut. So it was no longer um, great to be paid in the local currency. And so she ended up leaving that job because it wasn't what she signed up for. And she looked for another one, but it was a little bit easier for her because she's a medical doctor. But for others that don't have that kind of possibility, it's something that you really need to take into account. Because if you go and you're working and you're making dollars or you're making pounds or you're getting your pension in pounds and whatever it is, it's a lot easier to survive in that country. But when it goes pie-shaped and you're being paid in the local currency, then you can imagine what a problem that can be for a lot of people. So definitely keep a cushion for your expat life so that when things go sour, you can still hang in there a lot longer and figure out what you can do next, what your next moves will be as far as like making up for that thing. And also, hopefully the exchange rates, they can go down or they can go up. So one thing I always have, there's an app called Currency and I have it on my cell phone. And that way I always know which way the wind is blowing or when is the best time to change money into local currency. So with that app, it updates it like, within seconds and it's current. And that is another reason why I recommend an online bank like TransferWise, which I have mentioned in the other video too, but I can't tell you enough because you can open your account with several different currencies. And so you can keep it in one account. And hey, when I see that the currency rate favors me, like today, then I'll change that money into another currency. And you can do it right on the cell phone, and it takes just a few seconds. So it's nice to get the best rate that you can when that happens. And then you keep watching it. So if you don't need to change money right away, instead of getting a whole bunch of money at the same time, you can always change how much you need as the rate changes. So that is my tip for today. Get yourself a currency app or any currency app. And if you can, if TransferWise or N26 is another good one, if they offer different currencies for an account, you should definitely do it because it'll save you a lot of headaches and a lot of money in the long run. And make sure to save that cushion amount or think about it before you leave because it's always good. You don't want to end up in another country and find that what you had calculated is now, your what used to be $2,000 now is only worth, $1,500 of spending in your new country, which can make a big difference when you're on a limited budget.